Patriots, they're 3-2. They have one of the best young quarterbacks in all of the NFL. They face 4 straight winnable games. They might need some help at running back. But Drake Maye and what he's done for the offense so far, and I say it's Drake Maye because, I think it's him. I don't necessarily want to credit the offensive coordinator because I know the coach doesn't. So, why should I? But Drake Maye is the Patriots' offense 10th in EPA in play with no help from their running game at all. This is what I wanted to bring up. The rushing stats for the Patriots this year are not favorable. They're actually at the bottom of the league. And when you think about like last year's team, and I know we laugh about it, at least Mayo had, the thought to run the ball, and they did it a couple of weeks. It was their emphasis. They went over 100 yards a couple of times, over 150 multiple times. But to this point, through 5 weeks, the rushing stats for the Patriots, their success rate, 31st in the league, 30%. Rushing yards per game, 95 yards per game. Now, that's as a team and with Drake Maye. 27th in the NFL. Their yards per carry, 3.7. It's 28th in the NFL. So Drake Maye is putting up these huge numbers and is putting on these performances without a running game. If you really want to think about it, maybe he is the running game for the team this year. But this is the take. My take's this. All the other quarterbacks that have been drafted, whether it's been Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or Michael Penix or Bo Nix or whatever, they all actually have support from the running game, which last year I did think that Drake Maye should have sat. Openly thought that off the gate he should have sat. But when I really look at it, they were built last year to have Drake Maye start with their running game. Now they're throwing him out there every night. You'd assume, drafting a running back in the second round, having Ramondre Stevenson and Gibson, who's been a starter in the league, you'd think they'd have a pretty strong running game. No. Now they probably need to add another one. I don't know if it's Jermichael Hasty, if they bring up Jennings. Do they go out and get Gus Edwards or Zach Moss or Cordell Patterson? I don't know what they do. But the running game needs to be better, and they need to support Drake Maye more. So I've been looking at a lot of these other quarterbacks and how they entered the league and the discussion about should Drake Maye have started right away or not. I'm starting to go the other way. I think he should have started now. It wasn't my belief at the time. But look at Caleb Williams, right? His running game is DeAndre Swift, who's one of the better runners in the league, right? Had a really good career in Cleveland and is now playing very well. Not Cleveland, with Philly and also now with the Bears. Right? He can lean on that running game. Jaden Daniels had Austin Eckler. He's now got Bill. Like, he can rely on those running backs. Michael Penix has Bijan Robinson, one of the best all-purpose players in the league. Bryce Young, when you look at him, he's got Chuba Hubbard. He's got Dowdle now playing well. Bo Nix has Dobbins and Harvey. C.J. Stroud had Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. Anthony Richardson, who beat the Patriots last year, they had Taylor. So when you look at all of these quarterbacks, they've all been given a running game to lean on. What has Drake Maye been given? Fumbles? Guys who turn the ball over? It's been all Drake Maye. I know that he's found Ramondre Stevenson down the sideline on a big play, and Stevenson had 2 touchdowns last week, all that. They've gotten really nothing from their running game. And I know that it's maybe overrated in the league, the position itself, but with a young quarterback, you can rely on the running game. They did it with Mac Jones. They absolutely did it with him. So I wanted to just bring up 2 other examples of maybe some quarterbacks who might be struggling because of the fact that maybe they don't have a strong running game. Now, Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick, was at Miami and threw the ball 40 times a game. He was elite. He was at Washington State, transferred. He had a hell of a running game at Miami as well. So now he's with the Titans, who I don't know what they're doing offensively. They're really a defensive-minded coach. Or he's an offensive-minded coach that handed the play duties to somebody else. But their running game consists of Tony Pollard, right? They drafted TJ Spears, right? They drafted these guys. It's not necessarily helping the game. Even though they won last week, maybe somebody a little bit stronger to lean on to help your quarterback, although he was the number 1 overall pick. The other one's Jackson Dart, right? Like when you think about some of the guys they have, Cam Scatterbo is probably why they drafted him. But this is who he's relying on. How is he able to take pressure off when you're handing it to another rookie? I mean, the Patriots barely won't even play theirs. I just wanted to talk about how impressive it's been for Drake Maye, considering he's had no running back, and I wanted to compare it to the other ones that were drafted around him. Those teams can rely on their running game. Drake Maye can't. The fumble, the offensive line, you name it. Drake May's got all the excuses in the book, and he's still doing it. Back new offensive coordinator, all of it. Drake May's putting up big numbers despite all of that. And this is why I say it's Drake Maye. It's not Mike Vrabel. It's not Josh McDaniels. It's Drake Maye. And you know what? Quite frankly, you all said it to me for 25 years. Oh, it was Brady. It was all Brady. It was Brady this. So for 25 years, you told me that. I'm going to be consistent and tell you that it's Drake Maye. He's the reason why. Couple other things I wanted to mention here. I'm worried about the Patriots this week. It's the perfect trap game. And when you come off a big win on Sunday Night Football and you're favored the next week on the road, scary. The Saints defense has created turnovers, and I'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. I mentioned this in the crossover. It's not often that you see an NFL team play 3 consecutive road games. And I'll go into the details of what the Patriots have done in their history, but they've never won 3 consecutive road games in a season. It's never been done. So I can tell you that the schedule is easy. They can beat their next 4 opponents. But this is the NFL, everybody. There is a such thing as called trap games. And, hey, if they beat the Saints this week, great. They checked the box. They rose to the occasion. But then they do have to go back out on the road the next week and go up against Mike Vrabel's former team in the Tennessee Titans. And I know you're all raising your nose to it. Oh, they'll beat the Titans. Just remember, they lost to them last year. And they have never won 3 consecutive games in a row on the road. This team has a chance to do something that's never been done in franchise history. It's a huge week coming off the Buffalo Bills game. It's also a huge trap spot. Huge. The Patriots, I mentioned, are 3-2 right now. And I'm worried about this weekend. The current standings when it comes to the playoffs right now in the AFC. Colts, Bills, Steelers, Chargers, Jaguars, Broncos, and the New England Patriots right now are a playoff team. And the 2 teams that have scored the most points per game are the Colts and the Bills. Colts have 32, Bills have 30. The rest of the teams on this list, the Patriots come in 3rd in points per game with 25. Behind them's the Steelers, 24. Jaguars, 24. Broncos, 23. And then the Chargers with their great quarterback, 19.6. When I look at this group of 7, that doesn't include the Chiefs, by the way, which I have not making the playoffs, who lost again last night. When you look at this group, the Patriots are a playoff team. They can compete with any of these teams. They can compete with any of them. That's not something I said week 1. It's not something I thought week 1. I'm on under 8.5. The win total is now 9.5. There's a lot of props out there regarding maybe Drake Maye as an MVP candidate, top 10. So a lot of things have changed. And I'm a believer. I think the floor is now risen. But I'm worried about this weekend's game overall. I think it's a trap game. The Patriots have had at least a couple of instances, and I'll look these up here just to give you some accuracy on these. I threw it in my Slack to the guys earlier today. But when you look at the Patriots in general, when it comes to 3-game 3 games in a row on the road. It hasn't been pretty. It hasn't been great. So this is since Robert Kraft purchased the Patriots in 1994. You ready for this? They've played 3 consecutive road games in season. And these are all, by the way, without Tom Brady at quarterback. So these are legit. Brady's out. Okay? These are all legit. In 1994, they played at the Bills, at the Bears, and at the Browns. They beat the Bills, smoked them, by the way, 41-17. Beat the Bears 13-3, and then they lost in the wild card round to Bill Belichick and the Browns, I believe. So again, 2 regular season, 1 playoff, but it's an instance, right? They lost that game. In 1997, the year after the Super Bowl Pete Carroll year, they had 3 games in a row at the Vikings, at the Bills, and at the Bucks. Now, that Bucks game, they got smoked, and I've heard stories before that, let's just say they had a lot of fun in Tampa Bay. Believe it or not, that was the Warwick Dunn Mike Allstar game, if you all remember years ago. But they lost to the Vikings, 23-18. They beat the Bills the next week, 31-10, and then they got smoked by the Bucks. So that was an instance where they played 3 straight road games. And then in 2020, the Cam Newton season. Now, remember they stayed out on the West Coast? They played the Chargers. They beat them 45-0. That's when the Chargers kind of blew everything up with Anthony Lynn. Then they beat the Rams 24-3. Oh, sorry, they lost to the Rams. They got smoked. They lost to the Rams 24-3. That might have been a Sunday night game. And then they lost at the Dolphins the next week. So those are the 3 instances where they played 3 consecutive road games in a season. By the way, all without Tom Brady. They never really had other instances regarding that. So looking at the Patriots here, they have a chance to beat the Bills, go to New Orleans this weekend, and then Tennessee. Right now, you should think they would beat the Saints, right? You think they should beat the Titans. It's never, ever been done in Patriots history. And I'm worried about this weekend as a trap game. The Superdome is tricky, very tricky. I think Cam Ward's gotten better. And plus, there's going to be something there for the Titans to beat Mike Vrabel, so don't forget about that. I remember Belichick did that years ago with the Jets, so there's something there. But it's never been done before. Here's what I wanted to bring up on the Saints defense, and we'll talk to Alex Barth about this later. The Saints defense has a turnover in 4 straight games, and they forced 5 turnovers last week against the Giants. A Patriots loss to the Saints this week would literally drop the floor. It would right down. The pressure to win that Titans game, Mike Vrabel returned. Oh, baby. Trap game this week. Big time.